Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has a message for young people who might be interested or perhaps already delving into white supremacy online.
What I have to say to the young men and increasingly some of the young women in this country that are falling into the grips of white supremacy, that find themselves getting radicalized in a funnel of vitriol towards Latinos, towards immigrants, towards African Americans, towards all people black, towards all people Jewish, towards all people of different faiths. What I have to say to you is come back, because there is a mother waiting for you. I know it. I know there's a teacher waiting for you saying, what happened to my kid?
I mean, nails it on every issue. Now, I don't know, we talked about this on the damage report this morning. I don't know about, de-radicalizing people is incredibly difficult. Even if they're still young and they haven't been involved in it for very long, it is incredibly difficult. But she's doing more work in those comments than the people who are in power have done the entire time they've been in power.
Yeah, and she gets to do it too because she's not running for president. If for example, Bernie Sanders had said the same thing, I think that there would have been a lot of nonsense.
Why is that?
Controversy, because they say, oh, what, are you trying to appeal to white supremacists? You know, the establishment, they would have found a reason to attack him, because anytime he says things along similar lines, like we could actually reform people, they're like, oh yeah, well, you're trying to appeal to them, right? So I know it's mental, but as you saw that powerful speech there, I'm glad somebody said it. And look, we have to do two different things, and it's a challenge. One is kick the living crap out of white supremacists and the right wing rhetorically and politically, okay, not physically. And so because they have these nonsense talking points, they've got their Tucker Carlson saying insane things, and we gotta fight back against that. You got Trump saying crazy things, and it's burrowing into people's heads, and we have to fight back against that. And we have to be super aggressive doing it, especially at the Young Turks and people like AOC and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, because the corporate Democrats aren't gonna do it, and the rest of the media is milquetoast, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, we also eventually have to reach out to them and bring them back. So it's bold at this moment for AOC to say, remember, we're also gonna do the second part. Yeah. Look, so people ask me sometimes, hey, when are you gonna stop beating up on Republicans? Now, I'd love to say never, right? But after we win, yes, there is a moment like where you reach out and you go, hey, listen, you knuckleheads, we were trying to raise your wages the whole time.
Yeah.
We were, and I'm saying now broadly to Republicans and the right wing and conservatives, right? We were actually trying to make sure that we don't have a corrupt government, so you could elect really conservative congressmen if you want, but at least it's an honest game. We were trying to get you healthcare so your kid doesn't die. And so now we're gonna prove it to you, right? So there's 1,000 different ways to reach out. And this show, honestly, because I've seen it with my own eyes, dozens of people have told me in person, we've showed you some of them, I've interviewed some of the people, have said, yeah, I remember the young woman in New York told me I was a racist until I started watching the show, and you guys flipped me. A guy talking about recently, some of you might have seen it, was really powerful in Miami, how he grew up in a family that he thought was basically white supremacist, and he was in that direction in that camp, and he came out of it, etc. We had a Muslim extremist that Reuters wrote about that was in Germany, thinking of joining ISIS. Young kid, watched the Young Turks, realized it turns out he was gay, and he's like, I realized no, God doesn't hate me, it's okay, and he stopped being an extremist and didn't join ISIS. Yes.
I had never heard of that before.
So look, we're de-radicalizing people. The New York Times wrote this giant story about a guy who had gotten radicalized on YouTube by the right wing and then became de-radicalized. He came on Jimmy Dore's show, our show, and said, yeah, it was you guys. Now, other left-wingers as well, and he originally came in with one other YouTube channel, I think ContraPoints, I believe. And then he said, yeah, I definitely watched you guys and you helped de-radicalize me. New York Times, of course, didn't mention that. That's a whole nother story, who cares? Right now, so what we do is sometimes they come to hate watch us, and then they're like, well, that's inconveniently true, but I'm sure they're wrong about everything else. That's a fact, but I'm sure they're wrong about everything else, right? Et cetera, et cetera. So my point to you is, there's a reason why I'm an optimist. If you watch the show, I'm a huge, huge optimist, right? We are gonna win these people over because we are right. Are we gonna win all of them over? Of course not, of course not. But you have to remember, we have to break through their bubble first. Most of them have never even heard anything else. The kid who was radicalized on YouTube said, I was in a bubble. I wasn't seeing any progressive videos. I didn't see anything progressive on television. All I saw was the right wingers. That's why they convinced me, because it was only one side, right? If you watch Fox News, those guys almost only watch Fox News. So if we can break through their bubble, we can actually win back some people. And then if they are truly won back, of course with open arms, because we're progressives, we're the good guys. We don't hate people for who they are. And if you've got the wrong ideology, we try to convince you otherwise and bring you over to the light. So again, AOC showing real leadership, courage, and leading the way. Well, hey, you made it this far. You must really like the Young Turks. Thank you, we really appreciate you. Now, another easy way to keep supporting us also helps keep your internet activities and data private, all with a push of the NordVPN app. Head to nordvpn.com/TYT right now for 75% off of your next 3 years.